This is Chapter 9, Adapting Bourdieu's Field Theory. And I probably just butchered the man's name, or whomever's name, but that was my attempt of adapting Bourdieu's field theory. The contributing author is Carol Mooch. The theoretical framework is habitus field theory. The field of study or discipline is sociology, and the focus of study is actually on curriculum development. An overview. In Chapter 9, it outlines the way a particular theoretical framework, that of field theory, came to permeate Carol's research and thinking to the point where she was constantly visualizing settings from everyday encounters to complex power plays in terms of field, capital, and habitus. To be perfectly honest, this is the one chapter that I found a little more confusing than the other chapters. It could be for a variety of reasons. It could be because I'm just tired of theory and the different kinds of theories. And I just really didn't want to read any more about theories, or if it really was confusing. So to be fair, I would really need to reread this chapter at a later point in time. An overview. A social field needs to have clearly delineated boundaries. Each setting of the field in this study has a temporal boundary, a particular purpose to be achieved in that time frame, and a recognizable set of players. Players use capital to gain access to and to position themselves on the field. Habitus determines the rules by which the game is played and the way players communicate and interact. Carol looked at 3 settings with 3 different time frames. The first setting, the writing of the first version of social studies in the New Zealand curriculum, was from late 1993 until late 1995. And the purpose was to prepare a new social studies curriculum for the compulsory schooling sector in New Zealand. And the players included those who set, monitored, and completed and evaluated the task. The second setting for this field occurred in 1996. The task this time was to revise the newly published curriculum, and the players had similar roles, but the field included new individuals holding those roles. And then the final setting was 1976. The task was to prepare a version of the social studies curriculum that would meet the factors from both sides of the hotly contested debate that was going on at this time. Again, there were similar roles, but the membership had changed. The external forces at work during this time of field work were historical, political, economic, and social. On the field, major groups vied for control over curriculum content. The model of a social field, as Carol has used and adapted over the years, is synthesized from a selection of theoretical literature. The notions of a social field, capital, and habitus are taken from Bourdieu. The notion of framing is also taken from Bernstein. The notions of insiders and outsiders are from Lave and Winger and Discourse. The idea of using Bourdieu's notions of field, capital, and habitus in relation to educational policy is taken from Ladwig, but Carol has extended this notion of the social field and adapted and refined Bourdieu's notions, in particular to explicitly delineate positions and actions within this field. She was really taken by this whole idea of social field and how really the social field model can really help you in many instances across your professional life. The contributing author, Carol, goes on to describe and define the components of Bourdieu's social field theory in great detail. She also talks about her introduction to the social field theory, as well as the effects of the social field theory of this framework, and the strengths and the limitations of the social field model. And then she wraps up the chapters with concluding thoughts about the social field model. I know there's one more chapter that Brandy will be providing a mini lecture on from this book. But all in all, I would have to say that this book, The Theoretical Frameworks in Qualitative Research, it really is I found it a very useful book as far as just really getting to know more about the different theories out there that exist that might lend themselves better to qualitative study. So while there's some theories in here that definitely would need deeper research and study, overall, I thought it was very useful, very helpful, again, because it really helped me better understand theoretical framework and just, kind of just rereading it again about theory. It was just very helpful. So mine would be a thumbs up for this book and better understanding theory. The best part about it is you don't have to read every chapter because it's not culminating knowledge, accumulating knowledge. It is just good information. That's all.